Hey, buddy. How's it going?
This is it's a little bit rough to get out.
We suffer for our art.
I've been going at this for like 10 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have lift off. I can see it. Ugh.
Good job, Aaron. Thanks. 14 more to go to fulfill the orders.
Whatever you do not go to galacticarmory.net and buy these Emile visors. Jeez. Hello everybody, my name is Aaron.
And I'm Jimmy.
And welcome back to the Galactic Armory. Today we're going to be talking about this guy, the edgiest of all Spartans, Emile.
Himself.
Yeah. One of the coolest, most unique visors out there in the Halo universe. Tricky as hell to get right.
Yeah, this has sort of been an R&D experience for several months, trying to figure out how does someone make this visor and make it look good.
Very happy with where we finally ended up.
Yeah.
It's been a process, but we're going to tell you about it, how we did it, how we vacuum formed it, how we hydrochromed it.
Hydrochromed it, yeah.
That's
big word of the day.
That's something new for us. So this helmet was printed in Polymaker Cos PLA, a PLA specifically formulated for cosplay purposes.
Yeah.
There are two versions, version A and version B. Version A is more sandable.
That's right, yeah.
And more durable, but leaning more towards the sandable. Version B is swapped. So more durable, also more sandable, but just a little bit.
And yeah, compared to normal PLA, this is the more sandable version, and coming up will be a version testing the other side, which is for later.
A very cool helmet that we're very excited for. Keep an eye out for that later. But this helmet overall, we talked to Margaret. She's the one that sanded this helmet, and she said that this one was a breeze. I wish I could show you guys exactly how smooth it feels, but yeah, very easy to sand, very quick too.
Yeah, really cuts down on the sanding process. It really changes the game. It feels stronger as well, and also is safer to sand, because when you're sanding it, it falls away like baby powder rather than gumming up your surfaces or really like getting into the air that much. So it is safer to work with, but still make sure to wear your respirator.
We're real excited to start using this PLA more often in our builds, and a lot more in the future. But sanding this helmet is not the exciting part. You did some painting.
Yeah, really simple design.
All of the exciting stuff is here in the front on the visor. The rest of the helmet is pretty plain.
It's just gunmetal. We used Citadel lead belcher for 90% of this helmet. Otherwise, it's just a black band here and some red details in the vents. That's Emile. There's nothing that exciting about it, because that would just be taking away from the base itself.
So let's talk a little bit about it. So first of all, this visor, we knew we were going to have to vacuum form it.
Yeah.
The buck itself is quite large.
Massive piece. Yeah.
So the idea behind vacuum forming is you're heating up a sheet of flexible plastic. It'll start to droop. You pull that over this visor buck, and as you pull it over, you have a vacuum sucking air out. And so once you pull it over, it will seal, and then it'll suck all the air out, like the food processor, where it sucks the air out. Except it's going to suck the plastic down around this visor buck form, giving you a visor.
Yeah, and that's why they call this process thermoforming, which is just heat and movement. And it's because it's so hot that it'll stay melty and pull it down and form the shape.
Since the visor is so large, we had to go with an 18 by 18 inch PETG sheet. It's, I believe, 0.06 inches thick, which is around 1 millimeter or 1.5 millimeters. But just because the visor is so big, we need a lot of material to be able to draw over the entire visor buck.
Right. Yeah. Especially if you want to get these crisp details on the sides and still have enough material that the top isn't thin when we're creating all these dimples, these carved out effects.
We had a lot of issues trying to get it work on a 12 by 12 because there was just not enough plastic. Parts would get thin and would break or snap very easily.
Right.
But what we're going to do is we're going to put our 18 by 18 sheet in between two space heaters that have had the safety mechanisms ripped out.
Less we talk about that, the better.
But we're going to let that warm up. We're going to let it droop down until it's got a sizable droop to it.
Right.
You don't want to let it get too low, otherwise the PETG will start to stretch and bubbles will start to form.
It'll technically be boiling it.
Yeah, and it'll just like slough apart. You'll completely melt it. So you need to let it droop enough to be able to pull over the visor but not enough to where it just totally destroys
it
it.
needs to hold its shape.
But then we're going to take it out from those heaters and quickly transfer it to our vacuum forming station.
Right.
We've got our shop vac connected into this.
Just a box, just a wooden box with some with a grate over the top.
I got this one on eBay. I didn't make it myself. There's a guy on there that sells them for pretty cheap. Definitely recommend it. But then we just pull it over the vacuum visor buck. So I'll suck all the air out. I've got gloves on, and I like try and really push it in all over these face details. Just pushing that plastic in those recesses. We've got holes drilled in a lot of them to help pull the air and pull that plastic in closer. So we get those crisp details.
Yeah.
But pushing it in with your fingers is another good option.
So when that's cooled down, that leads to the fun part, which you saw at the front of this video.
The awful thing about this visor is that it's got some pretty deep recesses or like return edges. And so that plastic kind of hooks itself in.
Yeah.
And the downside of letting the plastic melt that much is that it will form around every edge possible. So it's good for capturing details, bad for trying to pull the visor or the sheet off.
Yeah, your poor fingernails at the end of that.
I was that was painful.
I don't know how our team does it every day.
Using popsicle sticks to help kind of wedge it out. And one thing that we started doing recently that's helped a lot is your PETG sheet will come with 2 protective films on it. What we'll do is we'll pull off one side of the film. The film that we leave on is what will be in contact with the visor buck. So it'll be like inverted. You'll have to like pull it out from the inside, but that barrier helps protect the PETG from like heat, moisture, like from heat trappage or moisture trappage and bubbles. It also makes it a little bit easier to pull out. You wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, imagine how much this would suck if you didn't have that on it.
Yeah, huge amount of effort to pull them out sometimes, but capturing all those crisp details will make it worth it. So after we have the clear visor, before we apply the hydrochrome, we have got to dye it to give it this orange color. The hydrochrome is going to make it chrome reflective, but we want that golden color for Emile's visor.
Yeah, just on the front of it. The chrome will still be behind, it'll still be visible, but we want a translucent yellowy gold finish on the outside.
And we just covered it in our Helldivers video. It's very similar process, except instead of black, we're using golden yellow from iDye. And you have to make sure to get the iDye Poly brand, because that's what will actually bind to plastics. iDye is just for fabrics. It won't affect plastics at all, so you definitely need that iDye Poly. But check out that Helldivers video if you want more in-depth talk about dyeing visors. Well, now we get to something exciting that this is a first for Galactic Armory.
Yes, this is the process known as hydrochroming.
This is like actual science,
chemistry,
science fair stuff. Yeah.
So I guess I'll just explain how hydrochroming works. Hydrochroming is the process of applying a silver nitrate to a surface with an activator that will deposit the silver onto the surface as you flush away anything else that remains, which will leave a perfect, close enough, mirror surface that is extremely scratch resistant, that's non-toxic, on this surface that can also be dyed. It can be seen through. It's really translucent, scratch resistant. It's really fantastic stuff if you can get it right and if you have the money to afford this system.
It is quite a setup, but the results, I mean, speak for themselves. Normally, we just use a spray like airbrush chrome on the inside of the visor. A visor this size was almost impossible to do uniformly and clearly enough.
That's the thing about hydrochroming as well, is because it's so scratch resistant, compare that to airbrush chrome, you can rub that off with your thumb.
Yeah.
There's no way for us to seal it in.
We have rubbed it off with our noses on our ODST visors, but that's not the case with the hydrochrome visor.
Yeah, the reason is that you start and end the process with a 2K clear coat, that really toxic stuff originally that dries
used
down
on vehicles and
it's all automotive in its use. The process is relatively simple, despite my plethora of notes. I wanted to get it right.
Run us through it.
Yeah, so it's a layer of clear coat, just 2K clear coat that is through our airbrush system. Once that cures...
And that's on the inside of the visor,
That's
right?
all on the inside. Okay. You can do it on the outside, but we prefer to make sure all the details are captured on the inside.
Gotcha.
Once you have that clear coat, that is utterly necessary because this process actually locks into the clear coat itself. So
Yeah, it like burns it a little bit.
it
doesn't
burns it. It creates dimples that it actually soaks into, and that is what's locking the silver onto the surface. Once you have your clear coat, you then have to apply a pre-activator, and that is just simply a surface retention remover. That just means that when you're spraying stuff on the surface, it's not going to bead.
Oh, right.
Like
It'll just
water
run
drops
off.
down a window pane. It will apply a smooth surface and break that water tension. That means that everything that will be applied to it will be one curtain of water rather than just, droplets.
Streaks and runs.
Exactly. So once that's done, that's when we need to apply our activator. Now, we have bottles for each of these. You do not want to mix these chemicals. You want to keep everything marked and labeled and have a proper drainage system for all of this. Aaron did a fantastic job making our basin system for it.
Yeah, we had to come up with a new runoff system, and we have a yuck bucket, as we have deemed it.
It is a yuck bucket. But yeah, the next part of the system is applying an activator that will create those little dimples in the surface of the clear coat. That's going to be our lock that the chrome key is going to lock to. That is the big part of it. If you get this wrong, everything later will not work. You need to make sure it is cleaned off as you go. You're going to be using clean deionized water. There's a whole process. You do not want to mix any chemicals, any impurities into this process.
This is like some Breaking Bad kind of stuff. Like, you gotta have a clean environment. You gotta keep your chemicals well stored and unmixed. And
And we cooked. So the next part's really where the magic happens. It is 2 different chemicals that are mixed together in a single spray bottle from 2 different containers.
It's the coolest squirt bottle you'll ever see.
It is a double-barreled squirt bottle. What happens is it is a silver nitrate and then another chemical. It'll allow the silver to be kept on the surface whilst removing the nitrates. They're sprayed out of the nozzle at the same time. Where they land, that's where the chemical reaction will happen. And you are spraying from the top down, and as you spray, you're leaving a layer of chrome, of silver, that will lock into that surface and just immediately create a silver visor.
It'll happen like before your eyes.
It's amazing.
It is a really cool process to watch. We were all gathered around you as you were spraying.
I was sweating. How you make sure that you're left with a surface that is going to remain clean and scratch-free is you then finish the whole thing with another layer of 2K clear coat.
Right. 2K is one of those more advanced materials to apply, and definitely hazardous. You don't want to do it indoors or anything like that.
Yeah, this is one of the rare circumstances where we cannot recommend that you try this at home without proper research, a proper setup, and a proper budget.
Yeah, exactly.
We just want to show you what we're doing now, and we are going to gradually increase in Galactic Armory so that we can offer you Hydrochrome visors from our line of helmet visors.
Yeah, the small beginner's kit we got was $500 or $600.
$600, So we got ours from Hydrochrome. We used them because they were relatively local. However, there are many providers across the US, but honestly, the prices are pretty consistent. They are designed for automotive and really upper end hobbyists. This is a premium process, so try it yourself if you have the budget and the resources, but if not, buy a Hydrochrome visor from us.
Yeah. We didn't come up with this. Justin Branifer has been doing visors like this for years, and that's what they are, the Hydrochromes.
Incredible quality. We can only wish to get to Branifer's quality of visor.
Yeah.
Really,
he gave me some advice on
spectacular
selecting
stuff.
a kit. And this is our attempt at it. We're doing our best, but just opens up a huge field of opportunities for different colored visors and super reflective stuff.
Oh, yeah. So with the Hydrochrome applied, that leaves the iconic grimacing skull on the front of this, the carved out surface.
Because the helmet visor is actually glass, right? He cuts it out for something with the insurgents. I don't remember.
Yes, there's a book about it, I'm sure. Nerds read that.
Yeah, but we wanted to try and get that glass kind of reflectivity. Down, right?
Because it looks like it's going into the raw chrome of the whole thing. So there's a lot of different ways we could have done this. What we ended up doing is we ended up ordering from Culture Hustle back in the UK. Culture Hustle and Stuart Semple, they provide artist materials that are pretty quirky. A lot of
obscure stuff.
Yeah.
the pink is pink and the black is black.
Exactly. So we went for their brand Mirror. This stuff is crazy. You'll pay, $40 for it, but it'll be the smallest little bottle. But boy, does this go far. For this entire faceplate, I use less than the capful to apply this entire thing. It is a single coat will do it. It is incredible how this stuff applies, and you will get a semi-reflective surface that does actually...
It makes it look like cut glass.
Yeah, it feels like you are painting on a mirror. It is really cool stuff. Once that's applied, all you need to do to mimic what you see in Halo Reach is just apply a little bit of black, brown oil paint just around the recesses, just to show where dirt is built up.
Yeah.
And
Give it some shadow and depth.
Some depth, exactly. And that's it. That's all you need to do to create a really pretty good Emile faceplate. One of the probably the most difficult type of visor out there to get right.
Oh yeah, even sitting it into the helmet was a bit of a struggle for us because
Yeah.
you gotta like line it up in 3 or 4 different places, and
The EVA is a wild design. It's so cool.
very spaceman.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's really sci-fi, and it just screams Halo to me.
Well, Jamie, I think this helmet came out amazingly. I couldn't have asked for a better end result. I'm absolutely in love with it. But we didn't stop there, did we?
No, the EVA is a passion project of ours. It was a long time in the making, so we couldn't just make one.
Yeah, we were gonna milk that
Those
milk that
bugs.
visor real good.
And so we did something really special for the next one. I want you to wait and see in part 2 of this video what we have done, because I think it blows this helmet out the water.
It's a whole slew of new and different techniques. You got to be like an old school prop maker. I can't wait for you guys to see it. But thank you for watching this helmet tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something, because we certainly did during this process.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, and we make it look easy, but there was a lot of failures in this video. So there was multiple failures before like 10 minutes ago when we were pulling that visor out. So don't feel bad if you don't get it right the first try. This is a very difficult visor and helmet to achieve. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope to see you in the next one where we take this guy and we make him a little bit sicker.
Hints.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.